Okay, so physical education, when you think of physical education, I think some people think physical education is go outside and play. And that's very important. That's one of the things you're going to do today with Mr. Cameron. So generally, from 2 to 3, or when I finish and we have a short video, you have time to go get dressed for the sporting activity. No matter how old you are, it is important to exercise, okay? So exercise is very important. But there are other things that I wanted to just address briefly with some of these books and just give you a word of encouragement. First of all, almost any book that you see here, you're welcome to use. And please know we are recording for your classmates. You are welcome to use any of these books. These resources are going to be very good. When I was in 7th grade, I remember being in 7th grade and I found a book. The book was written by a man named Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar in this book gives you a quote, and then it gives you an explanation for the quote. But the principles from that book have governed my life since 1999. That's when I found that book. So in our physical education class, which starts at 1:30, we call it life skills, physical education, and so on and so forth. But this first half hour, we have to address certain things such as nutrition, stress, mental health, social skills, okay? You can be the best mathematician in the universe, but if you don't have social skills, you're going to be in trouble. And you know who some of the people with the worst social skills are in the world? Physicists. They're some of the people with the worst social skills. Albert Einstein divorced his wife and married his cousin. That's not normal, okay? Some of the smartest people in the world are not very street smart. Does that make sense? So, how do we help you learn to be smart here as well as smart in the books? That's part of what this 1:30 to 2 is. It's also a time for you to ask questions. How are you doing? How is life? How is your mental health? Are you flourishing? How are your social skills? Are you good with making friends? Are you good with having conversations with people? Do you know how to handle stress? Have you ever been stressed, right? And so I'm actually going to pause for a second. Ian, if you don't mind, let's just grab a couple more chairs from the room next door. And then now we know how many we have. And GM2, can you help me? Or Junior, sorry. Yes. And then if you don't mind, just grab a chair on the way back. How many more chairs do we need, please?
Just come in and stand.
How many? 5? Okay. Yeah, I'm only going to talk for a few more minutes, but feel free to come on in. We'll get some chairs. Let's see. Ian's got a spot there. We might have to pull some people to sit here. So we have one there. Okay, now we know how many people we have, and so we can use this. So there's one. Solly, you can come on in. So, and then Ara, if you want to just all come and stand over here, we'll get you chairs shortly. Okay, so now that we know what our numbers are, it might be best to use the art room for this section. Does that make sense? Because this section, we might be about 40. Make sense? And then you go out and play different sports activities. Okay, or 30. So from 1:30 to 2, we discuss these things. Now, some of you are thinking, why do we need to discuss these issues? Well, last week I told you the report. Some of you heard me in computer science. The U.S. is having the worst mental health situation since World War II. What are schools doing about it? Most schools are doing nothing. Here's your math, here's your English, but I have had friends whose lives didn't end well because of mental strain. What is society doing to train you to handle that? Okay, so everybody, when you come on Wednesdays from 1:30 to 2, think of it as the most important class of your life. Because in it, you will learn how to handle stress. So I'm a medical physicist, and I work for different hospitals. The challenge with being a medical physicist is that each hospital I work for is as if I'm the only physicist for that hospital. So when they email me, it's like I'm the only one working for them, but I'm also working for 40 other people. That will be the case for some of you someday where you're a consultant. So do you think I have stress sometimes in my life? Oh yeah. When I went for my PhD program, just hold on one second. When I went for my PhD program in chemistry, which some of you are going to get PhD someday, you know some of the people with the worst mental health in America? PhD students. When they give you homework to do, and you're working till 2 or 3 a.m., and you have to be back in the lab at 8 a.m., and you have to keep up with all that work, but you're also a teaching assistant, and sometimes you're doing research on the side, just think about that for a second. Working 90 hours a week continually, is that healthy for people? No. So why is this class important? Because by God's grace, we will give you the best math you can get. We'll give you the best science you can get. But we also need your mental health to be intact. So what is today's lessons for mental health? Number one, this is just an overview. We can't cover it all today. So I'm just going to give you the bullet points and we'll come back. Nutrition. Eat well. Especially if you're going to play in our gym. Please eat well. You can't come and try running around in soccer when you're not eating well. What's going to happen? You're going to get more tired. But here's the thing. Eat well and eat properly. Don't just eat anything, right? So I'm a tennis player, ping pong, basketball, and soccer. I competed in soccer and tennis in college. And so when I played tennis, right, or when the basketball team had a game, I didn't play basketball for college, but I knew they did this. I would all see them coming in and getting their pasta or whatever, right? They get in their carbohydrates, and then they go out and they play. So that's number one. Eat well. Does that make sense? Especially for Wednesdays, before gym. Number two, drink water and bring water. Okay? I'm not saying drink pop. In some countries, people drink pop once a year on Christmas Day. You guys in America, when I came here and saw your cafeterias, it's like, this is unbelievable. You have unlimited soda and Fanta, and that's just not good for anybody. Okay? Why? Because of the sugar. So, please eat well and drink water before coming to gym. Number two, you might face stress this school year because we have deadlines. We have tests. I'm not saying it to scare you. But here's what you do. Study skills are important. Learn that there's a time to study and there's a time to play. We will help you. Don't carry stress on yourself. If you are a PhD student, it's different. Then we make life hard for you. You're not PhD students, guys. You're young. Have a life. Breathe. But Mr. Tarfa, I was sick and I'm 3 days past due my homework. Calm down. The world is not trying to get you to send a rocket to Mars. They're sending Elon Musk to do that. You guys will be fine, okay? So you'll be just fine. So everybody, did you hear that? And I'm recording this so we can remind your parents. Don't stress out. Because when you stress out, then you don't do what you're supposed to do. Then you fall far behind. Then you stress out more. It's a cycle. And I've been there. I know about stress, okay? Don't be stressed. Communicate with your instructors. Just tell your instructors, good afternoon, sir. How are you today? Please, I am a little behind because I was sick, not because I was playing video games. Have mercy on me, okay? Have a great day, okay? Can we try to do that this year? Email, is that okay? If you don't have email, write a letter, send it in the mail, okay? I'm kidding, don't write us a letter. But you guys get the gist, okay? So number two is stress. I'm gonna hit this topic a lot with you guys because some people don't know how to handle stress. Most people don't know how to handle stress. I've been the most stressed in my life in certain seasons of life. And I will tell you, you just sometimes feel like you want to go hide because you're so stressed. Ara. Yes, go ahead, sir. Yes. Okay, write those questions down. Perfect. That's the other thing I want to encourage you guys to do. Write your questions down. And then if they're very good questions, you will write them down. If not, they evaporate. Okay, so number three, mental health. I was talking to our child mental health specialist. She's going to be the 15-minute segment you're going to watch, and then you go out to the gym. She's available to help families. She's available to help people. And some of you here, as I said, I was an all-star student, almost a valedictorian. I was smart. Well, I'm not smart. I was hardworking. I was a hard worker. I wasn't a prodigy. Some of you here are prodigies. The reason why I'm telling you all this is right now you're listening to me and you're like, school's easy. Never had a problem. Yeah, take quantum mechanics and you'll pray more. Right? Take quantum physics and you pray more. Take medical physics, dosimetry, you pray more. Do you see what I'm getting at? You take these courses and you're like, Lord, have mercy on me. This is too much. But you are number one. Like I went to school with people who were number one. I went to school, people went to MIT and they got free rides to Cambridge. And look at us crying. Like quantum mechanics is hard. Someday you're going to hit a point. Don't give up. Give me a call at that point. Because some of you here think you're fine, but when you hit that point, give me a call, but never give up. Find other people that can help. So how do you handle stress? How do you handle having good mental health? You have good friends, which leads me to number 4, social skills. Guys, we need social skills. Our culture needs social skills so badly. You will notice sometimes when I talk to people, I do this intentionally. The reason is because, and my phone doesn't ring, so if you guys have ever come to the door and you've knocked, I'm sorry, that's part of it, is because when I'm talking to you, you're the most important, you should be the most important person. And so that phone goes upside down. Even if I'm talking to the President of the United States and you're trying to get whatever, like, well, actually, bad example, not President of the United States. Let's say I was talking to some congressman I liked, okay? I would say, I'm putting that there. And even if the congressman is calling, someone else is calling, you're the most important person right now. This phone goes away. Don't talk to people with your phone in your face. Put it upside down and talk to them. Does that make sense? But you're like, how do I make friends? There's nothing wrong with going to somebody and saying, hi, my name is John. Do you want to play chess? If they say no, that's okay. But they may say yes. They might say yes. I love your generation. That's part of why we started a school. That's why I've written 4 books, partly tied to your generation. I'm not bashing your generation. But talk about social skills lacking. It's not your fault. We just haven't given you time. So let me tell you what my life was, and then we'll land the plane. When I was your age, we didn't have constant electricity. So that meant that when I went home, I didn't have electricity at all. Most of the time, I didn't have, like the guy who does some of my work from Nigeria. So our website, lifestemacademy.com, all the flyers you've ever seen for Lifestem actually comes from my best friend in Nigeria. He lives in Nigeria. And some days I give him a task to do, and he replies, Amos, I'm working on it, but the power just went out. Can I get it to you tomorrow? And then tomorrow comes and it's like, oh, it's still out. So he's without power for days. That's our life in Nigeria. So when I got done with school, I went home, and then we would go play soccer downstairs or ping pong. And then we got to see our friends every day for multiple hours. There was no Facebook, there was no MySpace, there was no Instagram, there was no TikTok. It was just hang out with your friends. The video game that was around back then was called Super Nintendo. That was the only thing. And you could only play it when there was electricity, but most times there's no electricity. And sometimes you're at the very last stage, you think you're going to finish Mario, and then the electricity goes out. So I grew up with a ton of disappointment in my life. I never knew what I would have when I went home. It was never guaranteed. For example, we like to dress smart and wear ironed clothes. I didn't know if I would have electricity to iron. That was my life. And that is the life of billions of people around the world. Now, praise God, my parents had funds to buy food and so on. But there's some people I grew up with, they didn't even know if they would have food at home. That was their life. Then I come to America. The electricity has hardly gone off since 2007. Some days I can't believe it. The tap works. All of these things are working. But Nigerians are way happier than Americans. Way happier. How does that make any sense? People who don't have food, shelter, clothing, water, electricity are happier than us. Do you know if I lived in Nigeria, I couldn't travel to Alexandria after 9, 10 p.m. at night? I can't do it. Because you have to deal with armed robbers. You have to deal with this problem, that problem. Guys, this country is unreal. But here's the problem. With wealth comes apathy. The problem America is having here is because they've turned their eyes away from God. We have a lot and we've forgotten God. And now our nation, the psychologist, the child psychologist, like the one you're going to hear today, she's supposed to be retired. They're pleading for more child psychologists. We need more. Because COVID, unfortunately, made it worse. That's why this class exists from 1:30 to 2. Help you guys have very good skills here. And you know what? Next week, maybe Mr. Fossum and I will set up a social skills sort of opportunity. I want to simulate what happens if you're at the park and a kid comes up to you and says something stupid. How do you react? Let's simulate. Or what if you're at the park and somebody comes to you and you're uncomfortable with them being next to you? What do you do? Or how do you adapt to being in a new school with new friends? How do you start a conversation? How do I start a conversation? Well, by God's grace, that's one thing I do love to do, right? When I'm on an airplane, the person next to me is in trouble because Amos is going to talk to you. The best thing you can do is probably put your headphones, close your eyes, and then I won't talk to you. But I'm going to probably ask, how are you today? How's life? And then I'm going to ask, where are you going? Which sometimes is awkward. If they're a secret agent, I shouldn't ask. Because there's secret agents on the plane. I don't know if you knew that. Secret service agents. Because after 9/11, we had to start putting random secret agents on all the planes. So I should probably not ask them that. But I'll say, hey, so where are you going? What are you up to? And then I might ask them, do you play any sports? What books do you like to read? And guess what happens when I ask what books you like to read? If they mention some of the books I kind of like, guess what? We have a common connection. Find a common connection and thrive in that discussion. You're not going to be best friends with everybody, but ask the questions about just getting to know them. Make sense? Okay, very good. Okay, I'm going to land the plane with a gift to all of you right here. I have our daily bread for all of you. So what is another way? By the way, Denmark is also one of the happiest countries in the world, and they do have constant electricity. But the Danish people do certain things that make them happy, right? Meanwhile, we are really wrestling as a nation. So I want to tell you why I'm giving you this. Even if you've never read it before, it takes 2 minutes. Some of you are going to meet my brother tomorrow. He's flying in from England, and he'll be here tomorrow for chapel. And one of the things I'll pass more to the back here in a second. I have enough for everybody. But I want to tell you a little secret of our family. Everybody who has met my dad will tell you that my dad, and you'll see some of this with my brother as well tomorrow, they'll tell you that, man, your dad seems happy all the time. He's always smiling. I've barely ever seen my dad not smiling or not happy, ever in my life. But I'll tell you 2 secrets of my dad and 1 secret of our family, which is part of why this book is delivered to us now every quarter for free from our daily bread. Every morning, my dad has routines. Since I was a child, I walk in because we have to go fetch water for everything, essentially. So you fetch water. So when I was your age, I was carrying 25 liters of water up and downstairs. So I'll take the water, and if I walk into the room, I knew there was one thing that would be constant with my dad, without fail. He would be on his knees, and he would be praying. Without fail. Ever. I have never walked into the room, or I've never known a morning that my dad is not on his knees praying first thing. That's number 1. How do you live a fulfilling life in America, in a nation where the mental health is at the worst state it's been in years? Number 1, acknowledge your maker. Number 2, take time to reflect on his word. Which leads me to the second thing my dad did for us growing up. Every night, for a few minutes, this literally takes 5 minutes, we would take this, we would read the passage, we would read the story, and we'll call it a night. A fish should not be asked, how does it feel living in water? Because the fish has never lived anywhere else. You don't understand what it's like living in America fully because you haven't lived anywhere else. But if you go to West Africa for 1 week, you will never look at America the same again. You will never. You will come back and you will say to yourself, Mom and Dad, I'm really sorry for my bad attitude. I am really sorry. You wake up in Nigeria, you don't know where you're going to get gas, you don't know if you're going to have electricity, you don't know what this, and still these people are happy. And then look at us. When last did you have to line up at a gas station for 7 hours before you got gas for your car? My brother, who you're going to see tomorrow, would do that overnight so that he could take me to school the next day. He would go line up at the gas station through the night so he could take Amos to school. I didn't know this till later. Then I asked my dad, why did I go to that school? And then my dad told me, and this all comes together as we close. My dad said, when I moved to the state that I moved in, I asked for the best school, and that's why we took you there. And then my brother took me and did all that for me. And because I went to that best school, by God's grace, I went to one of the best high schools. And then by God's grace, I ended up giving talks at schools around the city, which the U.S. Embassy called, and that's why I'm here today. But it all goes back to those humble beginnings where I used to play with tires and no shoes, but life was happy. And those kids are happy. We can be happy too. But ultimately, joy is what matters. So I want to beg you, take our daily bread. Even if you're like, I know nothing about the Bible, it's literally 5 minutes. These stories will change your life. Okay? And lastly, find a mentor. People like Senior Thomas, Pastor Thomas. Talk to people. Don't bottle your stress in. I'm looking forward to this school year. I really wanted to just get this class started, but I'm really looking forward to what will come forth this school year. You guys are going to do great. We're going to be a team. We're going to play sports. I'm going to restart playing soccer again, and so I'll join you for some soccer. I don't have time to join the World Cup, so I'll just teach this year. I'm kidding. I'm not that good. But I will tell you, it's going to be a great year. Take care of your mental health. Make some good friends and flourish. Can we do those 3 things? Okay, let's take some questions before we land the plane. Ian, can you stop the iPad, please? I want to take some questions. Thank you. Okay, and by the